The Federal Ministry of Health, alongside some stakeholders in the health sector, have suggested that to aid the care for diabetes, it is important to swing into action with the inclusion of health taxes into the next finance bill. This was disclosed at a press conference organized by National Action on Sugar Reduction alongside the Federal Ministry of Health on Tuesday in Abuja. This morning reports.
Federal government and stakeholders in the health sector have identified the need to swing into action with the inclusion of health taxes into the next finance bill. At a press briefing organized by National Action on Sugar Reduction alongside the Federal Ministry of Health on Tuesday in Abuja, stakeholders emphasized the importance of the health sector's support with public funding to help foster the effects of the cost of diabetes care. Speaking at the press conference, senior health specialist at World Bank, Olumide Okunola, stressed on the fact that Nigeria is the largest market for sugar-sweetened beverages, SSB, and health taxation of them will bring benefits in the health sector, domestic revenue generation, and increased productivity.
There's been almost a 400% rise in the number of diabetics in this country. What that also means is that taking care of diabetes has become overly expensive. Why we should take the easier approach to solving what is meant to be a rather big problem. And that's why we're advocating for the introduction of taxes on sugar-sweetened beverages. Our ultimate goal is to introduce those taxes, and to introduce not just the taxes, to introduce the ones that are simple to administer. Not just the ones that are simple to administer, we also want it not just on carbonated drinks, but across all spectrum of sugar-sweetened beverages. Bottom line is, at the end of the day, there's also an added value that we get from the introduction of the taxes.
Professor of Medicine and Endocrinology, Felicia Anuma, stated that since diabetes has become an epidemic in Nigeria and has killed more people than HIV and malaria, with 1 in every 11 adults having it, it is important to take the cheapest solution, prevention.
Well, diabetes may not show any symptom. Blood sugar can be high and the person is walking around without anything, and then one day collapses in the office and they bring the person to the emergency. So it is so important for Nigerians to know that blood sugar can be high without symptoms. And that, goes to emphasize the reason why we must be checking blood sugars. As we do checkups, we must include blood sugar, particularly for those who are at risk. For example, if you have a family history of diabetes, you can't turn your back on your blood sugar. If you have excess weight, you can't turn your back on your blood sugar. So we must be checking our blood sugars because it may have no symptom. Diabetes can be silent until complications come, until blindness comes suddenly, the kidneys fail suddenly, or the legs have problems and we have to amputate.
Research development professional also opined that research states that a lot of people are unaware of the hazards caused by SSB. Hence, there's a need for proper communique while also implementing the health tax.
The way tax works for diabetes is such that if you increase tax or if you make a tax policy, it discourages people from consuming, because subscribing to a tax policy means that there will be an increase in the price of the products, the sweetened sugar products, beverages, and then because of the increase in price, purchases will reduce, and once purchases reduces, you have a reduced consumption of sugar sweetened beverages also in the country. That's how it impacts, how tax impacts sugar consumption. The decision making is actually at the on the table of government. However, one of the things from research findings is that if you are able to increase trust deficit, how do you increase the trust deficit? If you are collecting money from me and I know what you are spending the money on, I'll be ready to. So tax payment is not the problem.
Meanwhile, the stakeholders also admonished the government to take the proactive measure of health taxes to cushion the cost of diabetes care on the patients and ensure that the tax introduction is deterrent and without trust deficits.